there's a gigantic difference between having a say and saying something. And if we were not in a parasocial context that was so carefully crafted, both him and I would have to deal with, you know, audience, community, peers, slash, you know, community slash peers, and their things that they say. So let's play a little maybe baby. Maybe baby, there is people that are not saying anything at all and are just like, you know, clamming up, like that's the off skirt. They know that they're not going to be affected by this particular drama that's unfolding. Being that I deal with missing garments and have been dealing with missing garments for several months, and I have no concrete answer as to why the garments are missing, and or who has been handling the garments, and or where the garments are now. You know, they have a very the whole finding out that you don't have them anymore has a very like you know, magic witchcraft air to it, or you know, like it's people's fault. It's not an actual person's fault. You know, there's not a person that's doing this. There's a people that's doing this, and that air really provides a space and a place to say that we're not being commanded. You know, that is another thing about this situation. Not only if it is her, and she has taken care to try to prevent the concept of commanding, you know, she's not commanding her people or my people to accomplish this. But, so that's another thing, okay? And so then other people would say, they would be concerned, well, is this going to happen to me? You know, yeah, as far as the theft aspect of it. As far as the mind control aspect of it and the sexual contact aspect of it, I care deeply for the man that we're talking about, because it seems as though because he brought his clothes in, it's like a devil thing, and like the devil got in and now the devil's stealing. So some would be concerned about them getting things stolen from them also. Some would be concerned about the history and what they know about each one of these people. And that's a huge chunk. So they're going to look into themselves and what prejudices they have based on, you know, the gathered knowledge and harbored feelings. So prejudices, harbored feelings, those are two kind of not so great things. They usually end up, you know, sucking. And then, you know, that. So those people will make comments, and it'll be as a matter of supporting and or saying, yeah, it probably is true because this, and this. She's a skunk. And this is why she's a skunk. They're not going to be worried about it happening to them. They're not going to be worried about the future, the man's future. They're only worried about degrading and altering the breath of the future of the skunk, the woman. That, you know, they're leaning in on it. Not, you know, not hurting it per se, but trying to do what they can to, you know, affect their future by affecting the other parts of the audience. You know, it's a leaning sensation. It's not emotion. Everyone's standing still right now, okay? While we work this out. And no one has thought about me or Phil at all. They've focused on the skunk and the skunk helper. And, you know, potentially if there's a third party that receives these garments and wears them, which I had thought before, when you're a full-grown adult, you don't have any children. You do with your life what you want to do. You could say, I could easily be like, you know what, he doesn't care about anything except fornication. That's the center of his life. But that wouldn't be true, because when I didn't have my own injury, I felt that the center of his life was the community that he served. The 5 or 6 different, owners and or, residents of his, what I call a mansion, because it's his neighborhood. He doesn't ever fucking leave it. And they're what mattered most to him, and him being available to serve them. He understands clearly that his needs are always going to be met for the most part. That what he set as a standard for what he needs is met. The agreement with them, if one of them goes down, he'll still be up. And he doesn't really need all that much. And he feels like he has more than he needs anyway. So, but because I'm wounded, I'm going to say, okay, the center of his world is fornication. After these people are served, then he goes on to serve another entire set. And it's all about yucky feelings and darkness and fornication, because they're not making love. They're not making love. And I am capable of it. So I can say, and I've slept with one of them. So, I can say, this is what lovemaking is, and this is what fornication is. But I'm only saying that because I'm wounded. And now this is all me. Now let's go back to the audience. So what else is the audience going to say? Ones that get really, really coarse and really want to lean in and make somebody believe that he's so gross that he should get beat up or kicked out. That's the one that wants to be, doesn't feel like there is a place for them among him. And that's because there's not a place for anybody among him. He's a rogue. There's not a place for anybody with him. He runs his life this way. He serves, and then every other second that he is breathing, it goes to people and tending that which cannot be weighed or measured. And then on top of all of that, he works for me. He doesn't just work for me. He's given his fucking life to me, basically. When I was young, I dated him, and he was the first one I ever dated, and we got separated kind of not of our own choice. And we were just old enough to know that we could have been something, but not old enough to be able to remember all of it. But I know myself, and I said, I am going to try to make what you said true, because he said things to me that no one had ever said, that I couldn't imagine anyone saying. He said things to me that were so, it was a summer fling that rolled into a fall, and he said things. He was Spanish, and he said things, and he was romantic, and he was thoughtful, and he thought that I was I was really creative when it came to talking about sex. He had never heard a fucking girl talk about sex the way I did. Because I did constantly, all the time. I talked about sex all the fucking time. All the time. If I wasn't talking about big business, religion, or politics, I was talking about sex. And I said things that he couldn't, he just he's like, I'm not going nowhere. I want to just hear you talk. But we got separated. We stayed in long distance phone calls for a pretty good amount of time. I don't know how long, but a pretty good amount of time. I had my portion of the bill was $78 one time, and I paid it. I was selling chocolates and stationery to the neighbors and babysitting. I mean, we can focus in on whatever we want, if we want to dole out punishment and issue, you know, invalidity, you know, if you want to make an invalid and you want to amputate, that's the stance you take. I'm not really into that. She don't owe me shit. He don't owe me shit. They can't say that they can't say that they haven't hurt me, because they have, and they know it. They wouldn't say that they haven't hurt me.